Distribution provided by Cloud Sigma, the cloud that adapts to you. Visit cloudsigma.com/thisweekend for a free $200 credit.
Hey, everybody. Today on the program, Chromatik. Yes, they are reinventing sheet music. It's a great startup, and we're going to hear how they started their company, iPad apps, all this great stuff. Stick with us. Hey, everybody. Welcome to This Week in Startups. We got a great episode with you. Matt Sandler is with us. He is the founder, a co-founder, and CEO of Chromatik, and they do some really interesting music instruction stuff and apps and sheet music and practice and all this other kind of stuff. It's very cool, and you're going to really enjoy it. If it's your first time here, what are we talking about? This Week in Startups? The title gives you a little bit of a clue. Startup companies, founders, entrepreneurship, trying to make something new and exciting in the world. And today's program is brought to you by Scott Ed Walker of Walker Corporate Law. Scott Walker is a great guy, and he runs a boutique law firm that specializes in the representation of entrepreneurs. And instead of charging you these crazy hourly fees, he does fixed rate pricing, flat fee, basically. And he's a real fan of startups. He's got people working with him for 10, 20 years who have been working at other big name law firms who want to have this great boutique law firm that really has the time to spend with entrepreneurs, helping them learn and grow. And that is the Walker Corporate Law Group. They are a great team, and I know a lot of people who've used their services, including Tyler Crowley, who used to be on the show with me. Nobody knows where Tyler is. Apparently he's in love. He went MIA. He's in Sweden or Norway or something. Anyway, give Scott a call, 310-288-6667. That number again, 310-288-6667. 288-6667, or go to Walker Corporate Law. And trust me, these guys are great. I've known them for a long time. They've been advertisers on the program for a couple of years, and they do a great job. I've heard nothing but great things from the people who work with them. And you're not going to get any of those junior analysts working on your startup and screwing things up that you have to clean up later. These are all seasoned professionals. Listen to Uncle Jason. And thank you for Walker Corporate Law sponsoring This Week in Startups. Startup of the Week with me, Matt Sandler of Chromatik. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
Tell the audience, what is Chromatik?
Well, at Chromatik, we're a music technology company redefining how people practice, perform, and teach music.
Practice, perform, and teach music.
Correct.
And so how does this manifest itself into a product that the world can consume?
Yeah, so it's pretty simple. Music education and the way we practice and collaborate around music hasn't really fundamentally changed since the days of Bach and Beethoven. If you're fortunate enough to, have a music group that you're playing with, whether that be a band in K through 12 or a rock band that you play with in your garage, you meet maybe once a week. Then the rest of the time you go back by yourself with a piece of paper, a pencil, and your instrument, and hopefully come back the next week playing beautiful music. What we do is we actually provide all the tools you use to practice, perform, and teach music, and make it less of an individual experience, more of a collaborative experience that not only can you access all the tools you need using digital devices, whether that be a laptop, desktop, or iPad, but actually then get to collaborate with the other individuals in your personal networks.
Yeah, and how does that work to collaborate with folks? What would be an example of that?
Yeah, so the easiest example of it is that you can make recordings in conjunction with any piece of music that you're using and actually share that recording directly with other individuals. You can then have a conversation around that recording in text form, and eventually you'll be able to use it with other audio and video elements as well.
So here we have shared with you on the screen all the different people in your group, Sam, Justin, James, Adam, and some feedback there.
Yep.
It's almost like a news feed of sorts or a comment stream about somebody's practice.
Exactly. So you get to actually collaborate with people outside of your physical space. One of the biggest problems with music learning or music collaboration is that all of it happens when you're sitting in front of one another. So whether that be in the classroom or, on the rehearsal studio, all of the interaction around your music happens face-to-face. But unfortunately, we don't have enough face-to-face time, especially when you're in K through 12 or you're in a high-performance setting. And so we make the ability to collaborate across digital technology enabled.
Got it. And so what's the role of sheet music on all this? I see a screenshot of sheet music here and some annotations on it. What role does sheet music play on this?
Yeah, so almost every musician uses some form of content to play with, whether that be sheet music, tablature, chord changes, lyrics, a method book, a textbook. And so we actually provide digital formats of all of that using our own proprietary file format.
You have your own proprietary file format. Is there not a standard for like digital sheet music?
No, most of it is actually out in like PDF form. Publishers will end up dropping books of music on your doorstep. The most sophisticated ones have it in music XML format, which in our estimation is a fundamentally flawed format just for a variety of reasons. It doesn't do cross-platform very well, and there are a lot of problems with it inherently.
But it is open standard?
For the most part, but you only have about maybe 5% of sheet music in the world that's actually digitized in that form factor.
What is it mostly digitized? You're saying PDFs?
Yeah, it's mostly PDF formats. And so we actually take that and ingest it into, for lack of a better term, a .chromatic file.
Got it. And what does the .chromatic file provide you with?
Yeah, so it's a mixture between a data and an image file. So for the first part, we actually do quite a bit of image correction, image magic to make sure that it looks beautiful on whatever screen that you're using. Most sheet music actually wasn't designed to be consumed on an iPad or your laptop. And so it creates a problem when you're trying to make the transition. And so we make it a beautiful form factor to look at and interact with. And on top of that, we have a number of data elements on the back end that we identify, ranging from the rehearsal markings in the piece, repeats, codas, etc.
So can I just email like a PDF of sheet music I have into the system and have it translated?
You just drop it into chromatic.com.
That's it. And now you've got it and you can share it with people.
Yep.
And so why did you build this? You have some unique experience that makes you better to build this than anybody else out there?
Yeah, I mean, the entire team are musicians. We like to say we're made by musicians for musicians. My background actually is directly from the music space. It's atypical for an entrepreneur, I would say. I was recruited out of high school to play saxophone at UCLA. Ended up on tour. I did gigs at Capitol Records, K-Rock, and a variety of others. I've played on almost every major venue in Los Angeles. And, I've seen what it is to play music at the highest levels, but also I've taught in some of the less privileged areas in the LAUSD. I taught in Compton and South LA, jazz band, woodwind lessons, a variety of other things. And so I've seen kind of cross spectrum in how we practice, perform, and collaborate around music.
And where is this all going? People are just paying for the app? Is it free? It's a free app now.
100% free.
So how is it that you guys make money? Is there a premium version or something?
Yeah, so right now we don't. Frankly, we're a platform that is lowering the barrier to entry to high-quality music collaboration experiences. Right. So, my students... Is
that a fancy way of saying that you have investor money to blow? I think you just said, I have angel money, I don't need to make money.
No, we have great investors who see the long-term value of creating a viable business in the music performance collaboration space. There are some very logical next steps for us that we'll be launching in terms of monetization strategies.
Would one of those be just selling sheet music inside of it?
That is a very good assumption.
Yeah. And so what's unique about the software, other than I can, record my performance to share with my bandmates? Yeah. That's the main killer feature?
No, so we've essentially re-architected the technology behind Kindle Cloud Reader, for lack of a better term. So if you think about it, what Kindle does for you is that they provide you content that you can then view across any device. Mm-hmm. We've actually taken that to the next level. Not only do you provide us the content, so we have to deal with user-generated content, then we give you the ability to interact with it, ranging from annotating on it, recording with it, providing reference tracks from it. And then we give you kind of the next step in saying, hey, you can collaborate with other people around it. What we're really doing is creating the first ecosystem of music learners across the world.
Interesting. And so what does that enable you to do if all of a sudden you had, 100,000 people in there who were into making music every day? If you had 100,000 daily active users, I guess we call that DAUs in the business, DAUs, daily active users. If you had 100,000 daily active users, what would be possible with Chromatik?
Yeah, if you think about it, most of your music learning and collaboration happens from people in your personal network.
Right.
It's people in your school, in your church. What we're actually creating is a first digital ecosystem that not only can you collaborate with those people in your personal network, but perhaps abroad. So whether that be across the United States or internationally, people talk very frequently about music being the international language.
Right.
While it's corny, it's actually true. Japan is the largest commercial music market in the world. They consume the most music in general per capita. But on top of that,
jazz is much bigger in Japan and in Europe than it is in the United States, and it's the United States' original music form, right?
And in Japan, every student is required to take music up until the 8th grade.
Wow.
And so the opportunity to collaborate around music with people that you've never encountered before, or people from different spaces, is something that's incredibly powerful.
And people really want to do that, don't they? I mean, I look on YouTube and sometimes you'll see 5 people collaborating on a song and they do is there a name for that genre where you'll see 4 panes of a window, one person singing, one person guitar, percussions, whatever, and they're all collaborating on the same song, but they've never met each other?
Well, exactly. I mean, you even see it, YouTube sponsored the YouTube Symphony, which was a fully digital orchestra that was put together with collaborations from students across the world, playing similar pieces and just kind of mashed them all together. The opportunity to not only collaborate and play music together, but learn music from one another is also a very interesting opportunity. There are teachers and interesting members of the music community that you frankly don't have access to. And so we want to make them available and be able to spread their wisdom, for lack of a better term.
So getting to the teachers, in addition to I'm just pulling up one of these collaborations on YouTube. Are they called collaborations? Is that the technical term for them? I don't even know.
Sounds as good as any.
It does seem like these collaborations have done really well on YouTube, like millions of views.
No, I mean, and if you take it even a step further, if you look at the YouTube ecosystem, the top 5 search results that all contain the word learn all regard music.
Yes.
And so, I know this is what you guys do at Mahalo in some spaces.
Yeah, we've done a lot of how to play this song on guitar, and they get millions of views.
No, I mean, it's huge. The opportunity and the space are magnificent, not just from a business perspective, but from a social perspective as well.
Well, here it is. I'm just putting it on the screen for those people who are watching. Here's a bunch of people playing some amount of music together, and they've never met anybody, but they just submit the video files. And do you see people being able to eventually close the loop on this and publish? We all we make some song together and then publish it?
Well, not only just publish it from a performance perspective, but what if you write music collaboratively or write music independently?
What does that mean, write music?
So what if you actually compose a piece of music that's inherent to yourself and you want to, distribute it and have other people play it? Right now, there's no real easy way to distribute published sheet music or sheet music that you write to masses. So this can be a really interesting ecosystem from, conception of a song. So the first time I put together the first couple hooks or lyrics or whatnot, I can collaborate around the actual composition process. I can take that, I can publish it through Chromatik. Other folks can learn it, practice it, perform it, and then use it at scale.
Which would be kind of mind-blowing if you could actually get there, that I composed something and then I got to see 10 people perform it the next day.
Well, the interesting part is that we've actually already started that.
Yeah.
So if you look and you sign up for Chromatik.com, the band Group Love, which is a top 5 hit single in the United States right now, they have Tongue Tied, which is on every major radio station in the United States right now. They've been gracious enough to give us for free access for all Chromatik users, all of their arrangements, all of their sheet music, guitar tablature for their latest album.
Right.
Not only can people learn the music, play with it, record themselves, create content around it, but then actually directly submit that back to the band themselves. And so Group Love band members will actually be giving feedback to 3 Chromatik users directly in coaching through Chromatik itself.
Yeah, and I see you have Bruno Mars as an investor. How do you get a big celebrity like that to invest?
The interesting part is that if you look at most recording artists, they started somewhere. Bruno himself is a phenomenal musician and showman. I think if anybody ever sees him live, the first thing that they react to is actually how brilliantly talented he is. And so we got connected through a couple mutual friends.
Wait, one of your friends knows Bruno Mars? Really?
I worked.
Who are you running with?
Worked in the music industry, so it's a small space. But he's been very gracious to lend his name and support to the company. His backing band is actually going to be using it on their tour coming up and a variety of other things.
Well, actually, here's Group Love right now.
Yeah.
So Tongue Tied is the song, there's the official video, and record your version and send directly to the group. That's a really cool concept there. Now, do you get paid to do that, to get artists to play the song? Or is that something that what's the concept there in terms of...
Yeah, I mean, the general concept goes back to we want people to collaborate around great music. And if you think about it, the people that are most engaged with artists' music are not somebody that downloads a single for 99 cents, listens to it for 2 minutes, and tosses it away. It's a person that spends $9.99 on your music, then spends hours upon hours learning it, mastering it, creating content on your behalf, whether that be audio, whether that be video, and then actually distributing it in mass. And so right now we allow them to interact with a band member, but eventually there's some interesting opportunities for content distribution through that as well.
It's kind of mind-blowing to actually be able to go interact with the band and do the song.
Yep.
It's never been done before, has it?
Not really in this way. There's been this idea of master classes for forever in the physical space. Again, going back to this physical entity that's been there for years and years and years.
And what is that? What is a master class?
Master class is that a master teacher comes to your school, sits in front of everybody, plays some music, has somebody get up on stage, perform the music similarly, and then they give them feedback and coaching. Wow. And so that's what we're really doing in the digital space, but at a much more distributed level.
Wouldn't people pay a lot of money for that? Like, how much would you pay if you're a guitarist to be able to have, I don't know, who's a great guitarist?
Steve Vai.
Yeah.
And any of those guys. Right. There are incredible opportunities in terms of monetization, but really it's a distribution of learning and teachings. That's really powerful here.
What about video? I mean, I noticed that you can record audio, but you can't do video, can you? Not yet?
Not yet. Very shortly.
Yeah, that's got to be the killer feature. For me to be able to record my song and then have, whoever, whatever famous drummer,
Well, and the great part is that every piece of technology that we use has a front-facing camera now. And so it makes it really simple to pop an iPad up on a stand.
What would people pay? $500, $1,000 to have their version of a Guns N' Roses song reviewed?
Yeah, probably.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And then would that be motivating to the musicians? I guess they probably donate to charity, or maybe some of them would.
Yeah, I mean, look...
want it as a salary.
If you think outside of just the rock world where they make gobs and gobs of money, I was fortunate enough to study with Eric Marienthal, who's the lead saxophonist of the Gordon Goodwin Big Fat Band. Right. Almost nobody knows him.
What? Right, exactly.
But, he's one of the top-selling recording artists in the jazz space.
And what does that mean? He makes $50,000 a year or something? $100,000
maybe that. And, he gets...
So that could be meaningful for him to be making a couple of $100 a day.
Very meaningful. And, from his touring schedule and everything like that, it's impossible for him to teach more than a couple students every year. And so the distribution of this, distance learning network around music that's specifically for music because it's different than any other vertical is very, very intriguing, both from a high-performing artist standpoint, but also, my saxophone teacher from UCLA or my collaborative piano teacher. Those people have incredible amounts of knowledge that they can only give and interact with on an individual basis at a time. This is actually the first distributed learning network that they can access.
And this is your first startup company? Mm-hmm. And so pretty good idea. And what did you guys raised a couple of $1 million. I mean, how did you wind up raising the money, and how did you launch and all this kind of stuff? Tell me the story.
Yeah, so my background's totally in music. I don't think I could be running any other company. This is the only area that I really have true domain expertise. Right. But fortunately teamed up with my now co-founder and CTO, James Wicker, former lead computer scientist at Adobe, sold his last startup to Adobe. He's a little bit older than me, but has a mom who went through Juilliard piano training, so he's lived in this world as well. We got together early 2011. We said, there's a really interesting opportunity here. Put together a first prototype. And within a month, we were actually contacted by Modern Day High School, which was Apple Education's first one-to-one iPad school pilot program down in Orange County. Yeah. They were doing one-to-one iPad, throwing out every textbook in the school, math, science. Nobody was really having a problem making the transition to iPad, except music, You can't use GarageBand in a band, orchestra, or choir setting.
Right.
And so, we had this prototype. It was hackneyed, but it worked.
Yeah.
We shipped it for them by August. We had August 2011, 450 students using Chromatic iPad application in the classroom and out. We said we had a pretty interesting idea.
Right.
So fortunately, Dave Mcclure put a bet on us, and we put an initial round together around that time.
And how do you wind up meeting Dave Mcclure, and how does that meeting go? We just famously saw him on. You saw the clip of him?
I did see the
where
clip.
He's like, let me see. He's on whatever Bravo's Silicon Valley reality terrible show is, and he's like, let me see your deck. You mind if I slide through? And he slides through. Did you think he was rude in that moment?
No, I didn't think so.
Not
at
a little
all.
rude to take the deck from the entrepreneur?
Look, it's Dave.
See, that's exactly right. It's Dave.
You have to know what Dave is about coming in. You have about 5 minutes to impress him. If you don't, you're out.
Right.
We were fortunately, I kind of hounded him for a couple weeks through advisors, friends, etc.
A little stalking.
Yeah, well,
how do you make the stalking not scary, and how do you make it like legit good stalking? What's the difference?
Don't cross the line, but also make it personal. Friends of Dave's told me that he was in the Johns Hopkins choir, which he won't ever tell anybody.
He was.
Yeah, he was. He was a singer.
No, you just told some people.
I know.
Oops.
But his family plays music, so he got what we were going after. Had an investment thesis around, what he calls Mama Bear Tech. Making sure that education and child technology can be integrated in some sort of iPad, laptop, desktop experience. This fit right well within his investment thesis. We were very fortunate to.
And then he just says, "Hey, listen, I want to invest."
Well, it was a little bit less simple than that, but Dave doesn't work just throwing money around. He's very intelligent, and he has great people around him. Paul and Christine worked with us very heavily, and we were fortunate enough to put an initial round together with him, Mitch Kapoor, Learn Capital, folks from the Carnegie Hall Foundation, Royal Conservatory
Good people.
of Music.
Mitch Kapoor is a legend.
Mitch Kapoor is unbelievable.
Lotus 1, 2, 3, yeah.
Unbelievable. Again, very interested in not just creating a lasting business in the education space, but also the social impact that it will have. Making and lowering the barrier to entry to high quality music education experiences was something that we talked a lot about early on.
And so you raised $2 million in the angel round, or was that your first round of funding? How do you do 2 rounds? Or?
No, I mean, it was basically 2 rounds. We put together, it was, $1 million apiece. And
then you did Launchpad LA and Mucker Lab? Wait, I see those 2 things here.
Yeah.
How's that possible?
Yeah,
so 2 different incubators.
Yeah, so we're very fortunate to have great support around the LA ecosystem.
Yeah.
So we actually went through Launchpad LA. I knew...
When, 2 years ago?
No, this past class.
Oh, the past class.
Yeah. So I knew Sam Teller really well, who is the managing director of Launchpad LA. Convinced us that
Mark Suster's
Mark Suster's Accelerator. We thought that they provided some interesting strategic value for us, given a couple folks who are involved. Adam Lilling, who sold a number of companies in the music space, now sits on our board.
So they put usually $50,000 in or something? Is their deal?
We did a little bit different.
A little bit different. Because I was about to say, you're pretty established going in there.
Yeah. We did a little bit different deal, but it worked out on both sides really nicely. And Mucker Labs actually invested just through the angel round. Greg and Eric and Will have been very, very supportive. And actually, Mike Jones from Science is one of my day-to-day CEO coaches.
Oh, wow. Fantastic.
So we get around a little bit.
Yeah. You seem like a networking machine. What do you think the secret to good networking is?
Honestly, I hate networking.
Right.
I like to, interact with people on a one-on-one basis. I hate going to conferences. I really don't like that scene. I don't think it provides a tremendous amount of value.
Yeah, but you got to all the right people. I mean, how do you make... That's one of the questions a lot of entrepreneurs have.
Yeah, totally.
How do you crack the code of getting the meetings with the, Mike Joneses and Mucker Labs?
Well,
and
yeah, I mean, you got to be authentic. You can't come in just asking with your hand out. We had what I think is a really great idea and something that can be truthfully groundbreaking in this space. So that helps.
Right. Were you going to pitching people the idea, though? Saying, I have an idea for this.
No.
We had a product.
We already had a product.
Yeah.
We proved out a number of hypotheses. We did, initial test cases within the first 2 months with Juilliard, UCLA, USC, a variety of others. So we hustled more on that side. And
how many months in were you before you started, doing this hardcore networking?
Right from the beginning. Had to.
Right. But you had the product made, though, already, you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, look, we spent the first... we're always working hard on product. But, until we really started going after it hard, probably a month and a half, 2 months, I'm very fortunate that my co-founder, is incredibly brilliant.
Yeah.
You know,
So you had a couple of months under your belt, and then you had a couple of months at Juilliard or other places using it?
Yeah, and then, you know, we had a couple of test cases that we could point to with initial metrics. And we
That's
said,
important, isn't it? To have like something to say, like, look, it exists. Here's a URL. Here's a screenshot.
well, not even it exists, but I actually proved that it's useful to somebody. You know, from my perspective, we can make another sheet music PDF reader. There are thousands of those if you look on the App Store.
Right.
What's different? Why does it help? How does it move the needle?
Right.
And once you could start telling a story like that, I think it was really impactful in being able to talk the talk and walk the walk.
Yeah, I think too many people have ideas and they're trying to pitch people on the idea, but not enough execution and not enough hypotheses tested. I take it you're a fan of the lean startup movement? Is
Of course, yeah.
And so how did you apply that here and explain what the lean startup movement is to you?
Yeah, I mean, so really the lean startup, when you get down to the bare bones of it, is get outside of your own door. You know, you can build in a vacuum and hope that people come. But what we did was we actually not only ate our own dog food, but we made other people eat our dog food,
Right.
And saw if they got sick.
Yeah.
You know, Patrick Vlaskovitz, who's an organizer around Los Angeles, runs Lean LA, is actually on our advisory board as well. And, you know, what we think about on a daily basis is how do people actually use the product in its end setting? So our initial version of it was designed specifically for schools. One of the things we learned very early on is that schools have really awful Wi-Fi. Really awful Wi-Fi, even if they're fully networked one-to-one iPad school. And
Terrible Wi-Fi.
Terrible Wi-Fi. And so you needed to do a mixture between local and cloud storage. You couldn't just depend on a Wi-Fi connection all the time.
Right.
And so there are tweaks and immediate product implications that you have from getting out of your own door and not building in a vacuum.
And not being scared of that user feedback. I mean, you learn
exactly.
to love it, right?
Yeah, I mean, look, you have to thrive on it, or else your business is doomed from the onset. If people won't use it, interact with it, you can get as many vanity metrics as you want, but as you were pointing to earlier, daily active users is something that you have to look at every time, because it's not just people sign up and give your email address, they're actually actively engaged with your product.
And so what's going to be success for you? If we're looking at this a year from now, you'll be able to say Chromatik has what?
Over 1 million active users.
Wow.
You know,
That's a big number.
Yeah. We're already in over 300 music organizations across the United States, ranging from UCLA, NYU, the Salvation
So thousands
Army.
of people use it every day, or
Yep.
tens of thousands a month, something like that?
Yep.
Lower thousands, but still, you have any people who use it like every day like crazy? Are there any whales, if you will?
Yeah, I mean, so we just launched 2 weeks ago. We haven't even done like a huge product push in the music education space yet. We did a tech scene launch, I would call it. But we have incredible user engagement thus far. The average Chromatik user opens the application, whether it be on iPad, web, about 3 times a week, 4 times a week, and spending about 20 minutes a session with it.
Wow.
You know, we're not taking away Facebook or Twitter time. We're taking away pencil and paper time. And so, people always say, the average consumer spends, their time with 5 or 6 websites a week. We want to be one of those 5 or 6 for every musician.
And so what's the next proof point for you in order to get the sort of next round of funding, do you think? You have at least 12, 18 months of runway, it looks like? Something like that?
Yeah.
Ballpark? Yeah. Then did I nail it? Was it 12 or 18?
We're growing very fast.
Right. So you're adding people, so you have a little bit more burn. What do you think, and what do your advisors tell you need to prove in order to get that sort of very coveted A round, or whatever you're going to call it?
Yeah.
So
we have really solid distribution in schools thus far. We've proved out in K through 12 post-secondary really nicely.
How did you get that solid distribution? Is that just buying ads online?
No, we have not bought a single ad ever.
Just word of mouth, emailing people, guerrilla?
All of the above.
What's the best technique?
We've seen that email is converted very poorly for us. Music teachers don't generally have time to check their inbox, and when they do, they're just flooded with a whole bunch of ads by instrument manufacturers, people that want to sell them music, X, Y, and Z. And so we've actually found that working at conferences and actually getting it in front of the teachers in the point of distribution is really interesting. Music teachers across the United States are very well tied in with their professional organizations, whether that be National Association of Music Educators, NAFME, choral teacher directors.
So getting out there to those events, sponsoring, buying a booth, or a table, or just showing up and pulling out your iPad.
All of that made a whole lot of sense, and we started testing that very early, and it proved really nice for us. In addition to that, we have a great network of both advisors and actually users who have evangelized on our behalf in the space. So Dr. Jennifer Snow, who's the head of the Carnegie Hall Foundation Royal Conservatory of Music Achievement Program, one of the largest luminaries in the music education space, is on our board of advisors and is an investor in the company. And then, so talking to your next proof point, getting beyond just the K through 12 and post-secondary space, looking at consumer web. How do you get this in the hands of, dude who picks up guitar who wants to impress a chick? How do you get it in church organizations? How do you get it in growth organizations that are outside of
And YouTube is clearly a way to get there.
Yep.
Is there some YouTube interaction you can install in this? Like, can I publish to YouTube or something like that?
You'll see a variety of video elements coming out very shortly.
Seems to me that that's the big win.
It's an easy integration in that perspective.
Yeah, and we have millions of views to those videos, although it's kind of problematic with rights clearance and all that kind of stuff. How do you handle all the rights issues? It's just people's private libraries, so what they do is like what they do in their Dropbox, right?
Well, exactly. We operate just like any other cloud sharing service in that regard. You'll be seeing something very early Q1 2013 with the help of a variety of publishers. That is one of the major proof points that we're working towards.
To see if you can legally distribute music is, I guess, a key one.
Yeah.
And what does the music industry think of you right now? Do they look at it as upside and awesome, or are they concerned that people are pirating with the system or something?
No, it's really interesting because we thought we were going to come in and people were going to give us kind of the big finger and say, this is really not where we want to go. We want to sell pieces of paper the rest of our lives.
Right.
We're one of the few companies that's actually been able to get people to play nice, which has been very helpful in the traditional print space.
Got it.
But on top of that, if you look at the traditional, music industry publishers, UMPG, Sony ATV, and a variety of others, those folks look at us as a really interesting network of active musicians. Going back to the point of who are the people that are most engaged with your music, who are the people that are most likely to spend, not just on pieces of music that they want to learn, but also the recordings, the CDs, that whatever it may be.
Merchandise, going to see the shows, going to see the artists. But now, how do you deal with the fact that when I buy sheet music, it costs me whatever it is, $10, $20. When I buy it here, I'm automatically, the whole purpose, the reason d'etre is to share the music.
Yeah.
That means 4 people are looking at it.
Yep.
How do you deal with that?
You will see something very interesting coming early next year that isn't just an individual experience of buying, but opportunities to purchase with the intent of sharing.
Got it. So the 4 of us could chip our money together and buy something, or one of us could buy it and invite 3 other people, something in that range.
Yep.
Yeah. It seems like I have that problem with Audible right now. It seems like something digital rights management people didn't anticipate, which is I buy an audiobook.
Yep.
I'm buying it not just for myself, but I want to give it to my staff members.
Well, exactly.
After I'm done with it, and I can't with Audible.
Well, exactly. And if you think from music organizations' perspective, at school, for instance, you want to buy an entire band piece and actually be able to distribute it digitally and not just have to print it out and hand out copies. And so we're actually the first platform that will enable people to do that.
And it will actually give them more optics into how often the sheet music is being looked at.
Well, exactly.
Everybody will get more optics into it, and there'll be less stealing.
Well, there's never been metrics around how people practice, perform, or collaborate around music. And so that's something incredibly powerful for both industry folks, publishers, et cetera.
Yeah, how do you know that any school is not just photocopying this stuff 50 or 100 times?
Most are.
And most are.
Most are.
And so now, at least, if you give them a legal way to share it and buy a license, that would be groundbreaking.
Groundbreaking, but on top of that, actually very helpful for teachers because most of them actually want to abide by the law.
Yeah.
It's just, it just costs them a heck of a lot less money because, arts budgets are being slashed left and right all across the United States and internationally as well. Yeah. If you give them a legal means to do it that's cheaper than print, makes a whole heck of a lot of sense.
And they don't have to go kill trees and
exactly.
And not go for the right. Is the iPad the wrong size for music? It seems like it's too small.
Yeah,
Is there like a double-sized iPad or a 50% bigger one that you can buy from Android or something that's better for sheet music?
We've found that the iPad is just the best experience. Fortunately, we've built our own rendering engine, our own file format, so we can extend.
HTML5?
Yeah. Well, it goes beyond that for the rendering of the music itself, but we can actually adapt it for any form factor. So right now, the iPad is great. We don't see many problems beyond just like the old 60-year-old piano teacher who can't see her music because she's used to it a little bit bigger.
It's also one sheet.
It's one sheet at a time.
Yeah.
We interact with a variety of Bluetooth foot pedals, so you never actually have to even touch the page itself.
Oh, are there such things?
Oh, yeah.
I had no idea. There's a Bluetooth touch pedal, so you can flip the music.
Yep.
Oh, I had no idea.
Yeah, and so we're doing some
brilliant.
really interesting tricks around actually turning pages, being able to have insight into future pages, previous pages.
A little mini preview or something.
Yeah. So it's really interesting in that space. We haven't had people that are really troubled by it. It's been used at the highest level on American Idol, on live TV, and from 16 million people every week. Yeah. So, from that perspective, it's the...
Somebody needs to make a double size, though, right? Like, wouldn't that be like the killer app if somebody had an Android tablet that was just too big? Music size
There have
pages?
been people who have tried tablets of that size before. It just doesn't work for many things outside of sheet music. No was that initially.
Double-sided.
There was back in the day the Music Pad Pro, which was about 11-inch tablet specifically designed for sheet music. Just didn't go as they had planned. No was that double-sided.
Here it is. Look at this. I mean, No was so brilliant.
No, it was great. Again,
the iPad came out and they just said, no way, we're going to stop production on this.
Yeah, I mean, it's just hard to do it. But there are some interesting things that you could put two iPads together, or you could do a variety of interesting things, and they could interact over Bluetooth or whatnot.
Yeah, two iPads would be a great solution. God, I just think somebody's got to get back together with this. the No was so ahead of its time. It was
so cool.
Here it is. I'm going to play it just for people who are watching. Look at that, huh? You open it up. It's like it was heavy, and it was way before. This is 2008, maybe 2009.
Yeah.
With a stylus. It was more like a Bill Gates kind of tablet,
totally,
as opposed to a Steve Jobs. But it's got a hinge, and
it was actually pretty sturdy too, because it was designed for kids. If you look, it was supposed to be designed for textbooks and things like that.
It was the textbook replacement.
Yeah, and now they've just pivoted into working against Inkling and fighting in that textbook or the digital textbook space.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Scary space.
Well, I don't know have you seen the iBook author? Yep. Apple's iBook.
It's really cool.
It's incredible. We've posted we made 6 of them for music actually, and they're incredible. They don't have what you have, which is true interactivity, which is I think where it's going to go. I think you're going to win. I think everything else is, like the stuff we're doing is just stepping stones to what you're doing. You've leapfrogged everybody with a really great product.
Thank you.
And I assume you're hiring.
Yes, we are actively hiring on the engineering side. iOS engineers, JavaScript engineers, give us a call.
Yeah, Matt at chromatic.com.
Yep.
That always works. First name at, and everybody follow, you guys have at Chromatic or?
At Chromatic Music.
Music, at Chromatic Music. And check out chromatic.com. And thank you so much to Scott Walker and the Walker Law Group, Corporate Law Group for supporting. You got a good lawyer?
We do.
Yeah,
we do.
It's critical, isn't it?
It is paramount to your success because there are too many things that can go wrong.
There's a lot of things going wrong. I think you got a good head on your shoulders. I think you're going to do just fantastic. Look at this social, your ability to network and get these incredible investors is just awesome. And did you raise before AngelList sort of hit, or did you have some success on AngelList?
We had great success on AngelList.
Really, tell me.
Nivy and Naval it was early days of AngelList.
Right.
We actually raised our first round.
That might be how I met you.
I think so.
AngelList, yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
We did probably about 40 to 50% of our round through AngelList.
Wow, big deal.
Yeah.
And so Naval charged you how much for that?
0.
0 point
hugs.
0.00 plus hugs. It's amazing that Naval and Nivy have done all this good work for founders, and they take nothing.
Unbelievable.
You would pay 1% to have used it, right?
1%
common shares?
early on, yeah.
Easily.
Yeah.
If these incubators are getting 5 or 10%.
Yeah. Early on,
I
think it's been a little bit different as of late, just because it's a little bit less of a hands-on experience with Nivy and Naval and those guys.
Yeah.
They were very instrumental early on. My buddies at Artsy raised their round early on. Mind Snacks, a group of us raised very early on through AngelList and had a ton of help from them.
Hey, listen, continued success with the product. Do you ever think about using Kickstarter for any of this?
Yeah. There's some interesting things that we could do through Kickstarter.
Right.
I love those guys. I think they have a brilliant idea.
Yeah.
I just never saw a direct point to work through that.
Yeah, doesn't make sense. You're trying to get equity. You're trying to get active investors. Yeah. Hey, listen, Matt, continued success, and everybody check out Chromatic. And if you're a developer in Los Angeles and you're looking for a great job, Matt at chromatic.com. We'll see you next time on This Week in Startups.